Hello and welcome. Today we are in the Tier 10 Royal Navy Heavy Cruiser, the Goliath. We're playing on the map, I don't know what this map is called. I simply forget this all the time. Anyway, the Goliath is not a work in progress anymore. She is not subject to change. Well, actually, she is subject to change because she is now a tech tree ship, and tech tree ships do get rebalanced from time to time. So, the Goliath is... I play her kinda like a Hindenburg, where I end up long-range spamming most of the time. You can get medium and close range, and you're quite effective when you do. However, you're usually a pretty big target when you do that. And I think the Goliath actually has it worse in that sense, because the Goliath's armor isn't the greatest, but she does have a lot of HP and super heal to make up for that. However, players like big numbers, which means that when they shoot the Goliath and they notice that they deal a lot of damage to her, they're going to continue shooting that Goliath, and this means that you get focused down rather heavily when you end up going mid to close range early on in the match. Like, imagine this scenario, right? So, you're a battleship, you're sailing along, and there's an enemy Zao that does like all kinds of crazy maneuvering, and when you shoot him you get like 1/10 pen or bounces or whatever, and then there's the Kleber next to her that you literally cannot hit even when your life depended on it, and then there's an Henri next to that Kleber, well, maybe slightly further away, reversing diagonally towards you with speed boost on, and when you shoot her nothing ever hits her, or you do like no damage. Or alternatively, you have a Goliath over there that you shoot, you get like 6k damage minimum every single time. Sure, you're not gonna sink the Goliath, but you get more damage. Well, obviously people are going to pick the Goliath as the target, which means that it doesn't lead to very fun times as the Goliath. So the way I try to play it is I try to stay more or less at range and just shell ships, and when the time is right I try to push in and actually utilize the ability to fight close range, because the armor might not be the greatest against lots and lots of things, however it does somehow make you survivable enough most of the time. Like, it's rare for me to get hit really hard where I actually sink. Like, I'll take a lot of damage, but usually I will somehow still survive. Anyway, this Minotaur seems to be wanting an engagement, and this is actually fairly close range. I do apparently take a torpedo, but what this Minotaur doesn't quite realize is that the Goliath's AP can actually overmatch the bow and stern of a Minotaur, which means that this Minotaur is making a huge mistake by getting this close to a Goliath, because that's gonna hurt. Sure, I actually took a lot of damage from the Minotaur, but I mean, she took slightly more from that one cell. Actually, no, I think I've actually taken more damage from the Minotaur so far. But I mean, we're gonna do a follow-up, and the further our ranges get, the bigger my advantage should get, because, well, these are still heavy cruiser shells, or heavy cruiser guns, and my super heal is rather effective at healing up most of the damage I took. If I had the legendary British captain available, I don't know what ship I would actually put it on. Maybe Thunderer, or maybe the Goliath, because the extra heal you get from when the skill activates is going to be incredibly useful. Anyway, the Minotaur has disengaged, so we're back to HE spamming unsuspecting Yamatos, or, well, other battleships that decide not to sail very quickly, because those are about the only things we can hit with consistency. But I mean, when we do hit these Yamatos, we deal a lot of damage. I mean, that just right now, okay, that only did like 4k damage, but we'll try again, okay? And we'll deal more damage. Oh, Yamato actually fired. So, obviously we're going to do the dodging maneuvers. We're still a cruiser. Well, actually, you should try to dodge shells that are fired at you in any ship. Even slight turns can make the difference between a ricochet and a citadel hit, or a ricochet and a penetration. And so you should always try to, in some way, turn away when you're being shelled at, regardless what ship you are. Even that Yamato over there should be trying to turn when I fire my guns at her. Because, well, if I hit 1 or 2 shells fewer, that means there's a lower chance that she'll be set on fire and she will take less damage, etc, etc. Basically, always try to dodge. Anyway, back to the ship. If I didn't have the range upgrade, I couldn't fire at most of these targets I have fired so far. I would have probably taken a lot more damage so far. But I mean, here I can do, hey, that's another 4.2k damage, plus 2 fires. Sure, she's gonna damage on the fires, but then this gives the opportunity for somebody else to set the Moscow on fire, or maybe I will get the opportunity to set her on fire. Well, not yet, because unfortunately the British have not found the technology to overpenetrate islands yet, but perhaps in the future. I am actually within the radar range of the Moskva, which is why I'm going to turn away, because right now is a good time to turn away, as I do have an island here that actually covers me from some of the battleships, and at the same time a Stalingrad appeared, which made my turn away pretty much perfectly timed. Well, could have been slightly better, but still, that turn might have saved me quite a few citadels over there. Stalingrad is focused on the gearing. Also, I guess the radar was actually from the Stalingrad and not the Moskva. Anyway, Stalingrad does take quite a bit of HE damage from the Goliath, but she was showing broadside, so I tried to fire AP at her. However, the incredibly long reload on the Goliath does mean that she gets away with not taking much damage from the AP. And now we'll simply wait until she gets spotted again, but if she doesn't, I guess we'll turn around to go back towards more where I spawned, I suppose, because the more you are towards the middle of the map, the more opportunity you have to go around the map to try to help, you know, whatever flank needs help. I don't think we can sink the Stalingrad, but we can certainly try. Stalingrad is a really fast ship. Like, she goes over 36 knots or something. Like, or maybe 36 is an overestimation. I don't remember, but I do remember that Stalingrad is incredibly fast for the size of the ship that she is. And so, aiming at Stalingrad that's actually trying to retreat at range is kinda difficult. Wait, is that a Shima? I wanted to ask, is that a Shimakaze? Well, it was. Then Gearing Torpedoes decided that no, it's not a Shimakaze anymore. You see, they did a little fusion dance with the torpedo, and the end result was that they decided to take on some water to, I don't know, improve the strength of the ship, okay? Anyway, next up, I guess we'll just shell this Yamato again, since she seems to be more or less standing still, which makes her a perfect target. Or the Moskva. It's kind of either or. I mean, look at it. I'm 17 kilometers from like the closest ship, and I'm being targeted by 4 ships. Come on. Without the range upgrade, I would actually have to be closer than this to the enemy. And yet I'm being targeted by so many ships. So the reason I mentioned the range upgrade so much is because I heard somebody on Discord mention that you shouldn't take range upgrade on Goliath, and it just kinda made me confused, because I think the range upgrade on Goliath is rather important. Or at least, you know, it's something viable as a choice. So in terms of the match, we're actually not doing so great. We've lost 3 ships, they've lost 4, so we do have a ship's advantage. However, they hold 3 of the 4 cap zones, and our positioning is not the greatest. We are in no real position to contest the cap zones within the next, I don't know, minute. And the red team will win in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, as the timer at the top tells me, which is from a mod from Aslane's mod pack. And by the way, speaking of which, the anime voiceover that you hear is from HMS Hood from the Azur Lane pack. It's not a mod in the game, it's literally the captain that's available in the game, or was at least available during the Azur Lane event. You can still use a mod to turn it on if you don't have the captain though, so you could, hear her as well in your game. Anyway, we're finally able to finish off this Minotaur, I think, because she has no way to escape at this point. She's way too close to us, and wow, turret got broken. Oh, this is actually a complaint I have with the Goliath. Her turrets seem to break all the damn time. Like, all the time. It's as though they had no armor at all. Like, they get constantly broken for me, and it really frustrates me. I get set on fire, I insta-damage, and I notice Yamato shells incoming, and I use a heal immediately. And I go down to 5k HP. Remember, I take like 3 or 4k HP per heal. So this heal could have literally just saved my ship right now. The fact that it was in time. And combine the heal with the fact that I should have survivability expert on this ship. If I didn't have survivability expert and healed at the same time, I would have been dead here just now to that Yamato salvo. But instead, I still have 27k HP. So I don't know if I recommend survivability expert on the ship. I would say that out of most ships, this is one of the best ships to take survivability expert on, because the super heal, heals scale with the amount of HP our ship has. So having more HP from survivability expert increases the strength of the super heal. But there is the counter argument that you only have 3 super heals, so perhaps it's not worth it, and I'm not really sure which way to go. Fact of the matter is that I simply don't know what kind of commander skills to take on this ship anyway, so you kinda have the points left over. Because she doesn't really need all that many things. So she needs she doesn't need expert marksman. Wait, no, actually I think she might need expert marksman. Anyway, you only need like adrenaline rush, superintendent, concealment expert, and then after that you're like, what? Because you're not gonna take fire prevention on a ship with super heal, with cruiser damage control party. You're not gonna take basics of survivability. You're not gonna take vigilance, are you? So I have figured that I would simply take survivability expert. Anyway, the game is getting interesting here. We have lost 5 ships, they have lost 6. They're gonna lose their 7th in a moment. However, the enemy still controls 2.5 cap zones. That is, we are trying to contest the sea cap, but we haven't quite got it yet. However, we do hold the ship's advantage. We have 6 ships, they have 5, so we should be able to outfight them. However, there's only 5 minutes left in this match, meaning that that's something rather important. Okay, they lost another one, but they are still going to win by points in 4 minutes. And that is something that's going to be a bit problematic, because the 4 ships they have left are 3 battleships and the Stalingrad. And other than the Stalingrad, they should all be fairly healthy, whereas some of our ships, such as my Goliath, don't have the greatest amount of HP, or that Grossa Kofest in front of me. I mean, look at that enemy Kofest, 73k HP still left. The Bargani has like 58k HP, and the Yamato has like another 60k. Also, for some reason, the I don't have the mod installed that gives me the HP of the ships again. I think it's because I'm playing this on the EU server and I forgot to install it on my main account, and thus I don't know the HPs left. But yeah, we can see Yamato has 39k. So they are all fairly healthy, and in terms of time, well, it is absolutely in their favor. They will actually win in 3 minutes purely by points, and we're probably going to lose this Kofest, which is going to accelerate that. Our gearing isn't the healthiest either, but we should be able to push into the B cap, and that's kind of what I decide to do. Lower health or not, I think we kind of have to risk it at this point. And remember, I did say that Goliath was fairly decent at fighting at medium and close range, so I guess we might as well eventually go over the middle of the map line, right? Try to go towards the enemy instead of staying back. After all, if you're not gonna do it at 3 minutes left in the match, when are you going to do it? Anyway, the primary target primary objective right now is to, or rather, the objective right now is to try to get into the C camp, or sorry, B camp, and then contest it. And hopefully with the help of some concealment, we might be able to contest it for a while. And the other thing that we should do is try to sink the Stalingrad, or well, sink anything, but it's probably going to be the Stalingrad because she is the lowest HP ship and she is probably the biggest threat to our team, well, particularly the gearing. And there is she. Oh, she's actually showing side, but she is turning in, so it's going to have to be HE. I am actually unspotted right now. Well, for a moment anyway. And we got the Stalingrad. There is the Yamato, but thankfully this gearing smokescreen pretty much covered us, which... that's very well played by the gearing here. This smoke is pretty much vital. Otherwise that Yamato would have been able to fire a salvo at me. However, the red team is still... well, in terms of points they would win in 3 minutes, but there's only 2 minutes left in the game. Which does mean that we need to sink something, anything. Like, we need to take this cap and then sink one of the enemy ships still, to try to win this. Luckily I'm going to be unspotted if I fire right now, well, probably at least, because the GK shouldn't be able to spot me, and this means that we do get to deal more damage to the French battleship over there. Meanwhile, I do think that we need to push on the Yamato or anything. But Yamato is our best bet because we know where she is and we know she isn't the healthiest ship. And hopefully that should allow us to try to sink her. We have 1 minute and 10 seconds left, more or less. And we need to sink something in that time. It's possible one of our battleships could get a nice salvo off on the French battleship over there, but I am not going to rely on that. I find it much more comforting to fight this Yamato that I know I can deal a lot of damage to, especially since she is actually getting closer to us. This is kind of a big risk because Yamato could hit me quite hard, but I still have 1 heal left, which is what I'm gonna use immediately as the shells fly in. And she didn't deal that much damage. And her 30k HP is down to 10k now, well 11k. And now we use our rear turrets, and then our front turrets again. And the main threat here is that GK might hit me, and hit me hard. And I hope she doesn't. And there goes the Yamato. So all I need to do is survive for 15 seconds, so the GK can fire 1 salvo at me, and if she sinks me, they win. If she doesn't sink me, then we should win. And she didn't sink me. 2 overpens. No dice GK. You would have had to get multiple citadels, I believe 2 citadels or something, to try to sink me here. It was kind of unlikely that she would have sunk me here, but still, the chance was there. And hey, 193k damage, 3 citadel hits, 11 fires, assisted the capstone, even got a secondary hit, despite the fact that we played really passively most of the game, and we sank 1 ship. Obviously we got a dreadnought because you're probably gonna get a lot of dreadnoughts when playing the British cruisers, provided that you survive. Look at that background image though. It looks really good, doesn't it? Let's take a look at the XP. Well, number 2 at 2400 base XP. I'd like to give the gearing a compliment. Unfortunately, I have run out of the compliments. I played a bunch of games today, so all 11 are already gone. But he definitely deserves it. That smoke screen he gave me, you know, on top of the XP and whatnot he get, the smoke screen itself was incredibly useful. And that guy was played this match very well. Here's the damage. 110k alpha damage from HE. Only 43k from actual fires. Considering how much alpha I did with the HE shells, the fire damage is kind of surprising. I mean, on that note though, consider that I have 2.1 million potential damage and took 94k damage. These are literal battleship levels of damage taken and potential damage. And this is kind of what I meant with the Goliath. You do have to play somewhat passively, unless you want to be focused down rather quickly. So let's take a look at the ship in port. Captain skills first, so I went with priority target, then adrenaline rush, superintendent first, then concealment expert. Then I wasn't sure what to take for the rest because you don't really need anything. I decided to go for IFHE, survivability expert because of the super heal, because I mean, what else would you take? And then the last 2 points on jack of all trades. You could also take like preventative maintenance and, I don't know, expert loader maybe. Preventative maintenance to make your turrets not die as quickly. If I had access to this captain, I think it wouldn't. So yeah, in terms of captain skills, I think you have a lot of choice in this ship. And I mean, it's mostly up to you what you decide to go with. This port looks really pretty. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and Nuclear Sky. And I hope I'll see you guys next time.